Do you have to be likable to be effective, I guess, as a clinician?
It's an important part of who I am, and I'm not going to block that. I'm not going to take advantage of anybody, but I think people appreciate that humanness and relatability and approachability. Welcome to another episode of Mad in Love, the podcast where we dive into the complexities of relationships, a path to healing and the journey to personal growth. I'm your host, Dr. David Hawkins, and today we're back with another episode of Dr. Hawkins Reacts, and joining me again is my colleague, Jonathan Glover, and our producer, Katie Buckley, who has compiled, hello, some posts from Reddit. So, Katie, what do we have? I got my pen ready. I'm going to listen. We've got situations that typically all of us can relate to some part of people's story. We're all human. So, all right, here we go. Katie, what do we got?
We're going back old school, going back to Reddit with some posts. And the theme of today's overarching posts are just the relationship or the dynamics between the client and the clinician or the therapist. So, Dr. Hawkins, you brought up, like, if you were to go to the doctor, even if they are skilled, you do want them to have good bedside manners so that
Right.
you feel safe and that you're taken care of. That
Yep.
makes me think of that TV show House, where
Yeah.
he's incredibly effective. He solves the problems for these people, zero bedside manner. So is that, I mean, that's a fictional character, but in a way I'm asking, is that just completely irrelevant to the dynamic between a client and a mental health clinician because they need to have that trust to talk about those kind of things? Or do you have to be likable to be effective, I guess, as a clinician? Do you have to like them to be effective?
I'm so biased here because I know my personality. I just was transparent there. I want my counselor, I want my doctor, I want my pastor, I want anybody in my world. I want them to be relatable. They could be Harvard trained, and of course, don't take this to an extreme. If I've got some significant health issue and I can get a Harvard trained doctor over in Seattle and that's the best and that's the way to go. Yes, of course I will go do that and get that job done. But by and large, I consider myself to be very relatable as a clinician, and people appreciate that. I know they appreciate that, and I appreciate them. So that helps me to be effective as a clinician. So, and people are giving me that feedback all the time. My goodness, there's a scripture that says, weep with those who weep and celebrate with those who, and I do that with, I don't cross ethical lines, but I did a marriage intensive recently, and I wept openly with them over a tragedy in their life. Tragedy, horrific tragedy. And I made no bones about, I'm getting teary right now thinking about them. So it's an important part of who I am, and I'm not going to block that. I'm not going to take advantage of anybody, but I think people appreciate that humanness and relatability and approachability. So, and all of the clinicians, I mean, Jonathan, I don't know what he'll say about himself. He's very approachable. And all right, yeah. Jonathan, what do you think about?
that word, I really like that word, approachable. And for some reason, I have a bit of a reaction to the word likable, or do they like me? And I really like the word approachable, friendly, open. Is there a warmth there? I like that. When I hear words like, do they like me? That feels a lot more like friendship personal rather than professional personal. I do also think that especially what I've noticed, especially individuals who don't really have much therapy experience, they don't they haven't worked with a counselor before, they haven't worked with a psychologist or somebody, um, sometimes they have expectations for the relationship to feel like or look like other relationships in their life. So more like a friend, or family member, somebody of that nature. And this is a really good opportunity to talk about the differences here as well. And I know, like I said, I noticed that more in well, either people who don't have a lot of therapy experience or people who have experience with therapists who are fairly unethical and cross a lot of lines, and they're overly friendly, and so then you go to a new therapist and you expect that type of engagement, and then you're shocked to find somebody who might be acting very professionally, but you have an expectation of a different type of interaction or relationship.
Well, it's an interesting topic. We've got people who, our clientele are very, they have a lot of defense mechanisms put in place, and they feel like they have a target on their back because their wife made them go to counseling for emotionally abusive tendencies or NPD. So it's always a fear, at least that's what I hear on the phones, of, well, they really don't like me to begin with, and I'm going into therapy or counseling with them. How's this going to work? So to hear that you are invested is helpful.
It's a great, another thought about what you just said, Katie. We're asking these men to swallow a horse pill. We're saying, look, you're going to go into Jonathan's core group, dual core group. You're going to go into whoever's core group, and we're going to be asking you to take responsibility, and we're going to ask you to read some tough stuff, and we're going to ask you to become comfortable with descriptors of your behavior that are not really pleasant. It's going to be a horse pill. So, point being, I can be approachable as a clinician, and I can walk with you through this difficult process, and you can swallow the horse pill one little piece at a time, and that helps. We're not like, well, you're gonna look, you got to take this medicine, doggone it, and that doesn't help anybody. So I'm not as averse to the word likable as Jonathan is, but I get it. We'll use the word approachable. I think we as a company, as I think about all of the team, we're approachable. I think we're even kind of likable, but anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. Leave it alone. All right.
Okay, this one is written by TP30, and it says, does it ever feel painful when your therapist is nice to you? Why do you think that is? For instance, sometimes when I'm telling him about something that happened to me, like some abuse that had occurred, when he's nice and reassuring, I wish he wouldn't be. I don't think I want him to be mean, but his kindness almost feels like love, and it hurts. I think it reminds me of what I didn't get, what child me thinks they don't deserve. Have you ever encountered this?
Sure. Yeah, kindness hurts. So there's Jonathan's term about transference and what
well, it's not my
happened.
Term. I didn't coin it.
Okay. Oh, you didn't? I thought you did. Oh, man. Anyway, so it is, yeah, this has happened in a previous relationship. And again, my goodness, so much to work with right there. And if that person were to say to their clinician, hey, your kindness feels good, but oh, it feels so uncomfortable. Okay, let's talk about that. And it's an opening to discover where else it has occurred in this person's life and what wounds are they carrying from those experiences and what they're needing now, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to know what their urge was, what they want to do in response to that. Do they want to pull away? Do they want to argue with the person giving them that feedback? What is it that they want to do? Because that is probably also showing up in other relationships. This is likely something that has been largely missing in their life and in their relationships, and is a need, a big need for them in their current life and their current relationships. And so identifying that and identifying it as a need, and then exploring it. What are all the dynamics that show up surrounding this?
I hope everybody can hear this principle that how we are wherever we are in our current situation very well, if it's a struggle, may remind us of previous time. This didn't show up just now. And that's good news. And I don't know if it's bad news, but we might be thinking, oh, this problem is occurring right now with this person. Well, it is, but it's reminiscent of other situations that have been unhealed. And that's the exciting part of counseling. That's the exciting part of being self-aware. Like, oh man, I can be curious about this within myself, and I can have a healthier relationship with myself and bring some healing to these old experiences, and then have a healthier experience in the here and now.
I think that's it for today.
That is it for today. All right. Well, wow. Listeners, if any of this resonates with you, and my goodness, we covered a lot of different stories today, very human stories. They're my story, they're your story, they're all of our stories. If it resonates with you, you can always start by visiting our website at www.marriagerecoverycenter.com to book a free 20-minute phone consultation with one of our trained client care specialists to learn how you can get started on getting help. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to our channel to be notified of upcoming episodes. Until next time, Jonathan, Katie, Dr. Hawkins signing off for Mad in Love. Take care.